Hi, this is attorney John Haines talking about personal injury in the state of Tennessee. Now, personal injury is an area of the law where there is all kinds of misinformation. My own hypothesis as to why this is the case is the McDonald's hot coffee case of the 90s. If you are unfamiliar with that case, to briefly summarize it, an elderly woman went through a drive-thru. She got a cup of coffee. She spilled the cup of coffee on her lap. She sued McDonald's and got a multi-million-dollar judgment. Now, as a result of those sorts of headlines, woman spills coffee, gets millions of dollars, many people believe that anybody can sue for anything and recover any amount of money. And that couldn't be farther from the truth for a couple of reasons. Number one, the reality is in that McDonald's case, the woman originally just sued for her medical bills, $10,000 worth of medical bills, okay? McDonald's offered her $800, right? So she was forced to sue them, okay? Also, by the way, she suffered third-degree burns and was in the hospital for quite a long time. It wasn't just a little hot boo-boo she got on her lap. Finally, a jury did return a multi-million-dollar verdict for reasons including McDonald's had had hundreds of other complaints and the coffee was many degrees above the temperature it needed to be, potentially because you can sell old coffee if it's so hot you can't taste how old it is. And the jury thought that McDonald's should have been punished for those actions, not just this lady's individual injuries. But that jury verdict was then struck down by the judge. It was lowered by the judge in something called a remitter, and the parties ended up settling out of court for an undisclosed amount. So, if you've been injured and you have heard some of this misinformation, either from one side or the other, that, oh, if you sue, it's only because you're trying to get rich, or, oh, if you sue, you will definitely get rich. I hate to break it to you, but neither of those things are true. What is your case about? Two things: liability and damages. Starting with liability. That means you have to prove that it is someone else's fault that you've been injured, or multiple other people, okay? Classic example, you're sitting at a stoplight, you get rear-ended. The burden is on you to prove that the other side is responsible. Now, that's likely possible, okay, if you can demonstrate that you were in fact at a stoplight or a stop sign and they crashed into you, okay? So let's say you're successful in proving liability, which is usually through some sort of negligence theory. And I won't go into the weeds on that, but the broad strokes of negligence are a person had a duty to act in a reasonably prudent manner that you would expect a normal member of society to act, and they did not act in that manner. As a result, you were then injured, okay? Well, the other side of your case, damages, is how do we quantify your injury? Courts can only offer you compensation in the form of dollars and cents. That's the best they can do, and that's why all personal injury cases devolve into a conversation about money. Your damages are going to have two main components. That is pecuniary and non-pecuniary damages, which to speak regular English is to say damages that can be calculated down to the cent and damages that can't, all right? Pecuniary damages should be easy to think of. Medical bills, lost wages, right? Psychiatrist bills if you've suffered mental trauma, okay? These all have invoices. Those invoices all have a dollar sign next to an amount for services rendered. The other side of the coin, non-pecuniary loss, is by definition hard to pin down because you can't just calculate it. How much is mental and emotional suffering worth? How do we quantify those things? In your case, that's where your attorney comes in. Across the board, frankly, your attorney will help you demonstrate, number one, liability by knowing the components of negligence, okay, and how your particular facts fit into that theory of liability. And number two, by understanding damages, the components of damages, and how to prove those damages. That is so that you can be compensated not some wild sum of money because you've hit the lottery by being in an accident, but because you have suffered genuine injury in the form of physical and emotional pain, as well as suffering, damage to your property, and so forth, and you need to be compensated by liable parties for those injuries. If you've been injured and you want to talk about your case, feel free to give me a call. My phone number is 865-269-2524. You can also learn more about personal injury on my website, www.haines.law. And on that website, you'll find a link to where you can schedule a phone consultation with me in the future if right now is not the best time for you. Thank you.